This video is an eye-opener with 7 reasons why getting rich is easier than you think. Becoming wealthy is simpler than you might think. Yes, that's correct. Becoming wealthy doesn't need to be tough. Sometimes it's surprisingly uncomplicated. Unlike the idea that becoming wealthy is nearly impossible and limited to a lucky minority. It's quite easy once you make a few small changes. And making these adjustments can start to better your life almost right away. Look at these reasons why amassing wealth isn't as hard as some might make you believe. Stay till the end, as this will show you how effortless it can be. Help educate people about money, personal finance, and investing. If you want to enhance your financial future, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. If this video is useful, changing your mindset can do wonders. Shifting from someone who always finds excuses for why getting rich is too hard to someone who seeks ways to make it possible goes a long way, and a simple mindset shift can make a huge difference. Once you start looking at the situation differently, you can begin finding things you can do to get nearer to your goals, instead of thinking it's entirely beyond your control. Observe the thought process of someone you know who isn't great with money. There's a good chance they complain about being short of money, yet keep making choices that worsen the situation, like leaving work early or going into debt. Recognizing that you can make positive changes and starting to search for ways to make gradual improvements is very powerful, and it's not tough to do. You don't need much knowledge or skill. You don't have to be a money or investing expert to do well financially. Really, you only need to understand a few concepts, like paying yourself first. This means setting aside a part of your income each time you're paid and consistently investing it. Often, doing just this one thing is enough to accumulate wealth over time, and anyone can do it. Many will argue that they can't set anything aside because they don't earn enough. Naturally, no one wants a smaller paycheck. That might be true for those truly struggling, but most people will find a way, with a bit less after saving a little. Once they start doing this, they'll completely forget about the money that was saved automatically and not even notice it's gone. Additionally, living below your means is a requirement for becoming wealthy. It takes practice for those unaccustomed to spending less than they earn. But it's not that challenging. You'll develop good money habits. It's extremely easy to become wealthy when you have positive money habits. Having poor money habits will keep you broke, sick, and tired. Breaking those habits you've formed over many years can take time. The opposite is true. When you develop good money habits, it takes a while to get rid of bad habits and replace them with good ones. Once you develop good habits, you don't have to change much. You can keep doing what you're doing, avoiding debt, resisting impulse purchases, living within your means, and investing. These habits tend to stick with you once you've established them. It might be tough to form these habits initially, but sticking to them is simple, and you'll be glad you did. Planning for your future by saving money and managing your finances well will lead you to financial freedom. You'll be ready for unexpected expenses and will have a secure future. You don't need to give up a lot. A common excuse from people with limited means is that they don't want to wait for years to enjoy their money. They want to enjoy it now. They want to buy what they desire whenever they desire it. It's almost like they think they'll have to live in a tent until they become rich, and only then can they start enjoying the finer things in life. What they fail to realize is that it's unnecessary to give up everything that makes them happy today to build wealth for their future. You can still enjoy things that matter to you and build wealth simultaneously. You can spend money on things you enjoy. But what you can't do is waste money. This means cutting out unused subscription services and reconsidering buying a new fancy car every year. By reducing wasteful spending, you can still allocate money for important things. You can continue with your current lifestyle. There's no need to abandon everything and start anew to make progress. Often, making small changes is all that's necessary to move on from where you are now to the path of success. You don't have to change careers. Have you ever heard a successful person claim that they worked non-stop for 5 years straight to become rich? That might have worked for them, but thinking it's the only way can discourage you from making any headway. You don't need to devote every moment, even nights and weekends, to building a startup in your garage. You can keep working the same job for the same hours each week and still move forward. You don't have to sell everything you own, stop eating out, or completely cut spending. The amount of change depends on where you're starting. But for most of us, big changes aren't needed. Small adjustments are enough. At first, it might seem like becoming wealthy is impossible. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, burdened by debt, and barely making ends meet, achieving financial freedom can feel out of reach. How can you go from struggling all the time to being wealthy and successful, free from money worries? It's hard to imagine, but as you make progress, getting rich becomes easier and easier. It takes time to start when you're focusing on paying off debts, organizing your savings, boosting your income, and beginning to invest. As you achieve these milestones, things start rolling, and saving more money becomes simpler. Finding ways to earn more income leads to exponential growth in your investments. Many people don't realize how the process becomes smoother over time. Instead, they get intimidated and never take the first step. Compound interest is incredibly beneficial. If you've never invested before, it's tough to see how compound interest can work in your favor. Imagine needing $2 million for retirement. You won't save $2 million on your own. That's nearly impossible. A large portion will come from compound interest. Compound interest is powerful, making it easier to get rich than you'd expect. For instance, let's say you invest $15,000 with an average annual return of 10%. It'll take over 7 years for that money to double to $30,000, giving you a total gain of $15,000. But if you have $150,000 invested, it will take just about 1 year to grow to $115,000, with the same $15,000 gain. And in roughly 7 years, it'll double to $230,000. It's slow at the start, but once your investments reach a certain level, the gains will surpass your working income. Suppose you invest $12,000 each year. After 30 years, you'll have around $1,170,000. You only put aside about $235,000, and the rest came from earned interest. Becoming wealthy doesn't have to be hard. It's simpler than people believe. But some people unnecessarily feel overwhelmed by the process, stopping them from making any headway. You don't need to change your whole life. Often, a few small changes are sufficient to move from constant financial struggles to a place of prosperity, making the journey easier than most would think.